said you had.
Yeah,
some
last
additions.
month we approved James and Ray Zachary for $3,600 with the ADB creed, and it's not included in the minutes, and I want to make sure it gets added to the minutes before we approve it.
Noted to add.
Okay. All in favor with the amendment to the minutes? Say
So
aye.
moved. Aye.
Any opposed? Well, I guess that's a
Second.
motion and a second. We just did it backwards.
Got it all in.
It's still early. Morrison sidewalk project, Roger?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've got a few things to go over with you this morning, and it's been a couple meetings that I haven't been able to attend, but what we have to do today is we've got a pay estimate. It would be the last pay estimate from the United Construction Services. Jake over here, so any questions you can ask him too. But the amount of that pay estimate is $43,230.70, and the small amount of retaining is $2,275.30. And so we ask that you consider approving that pay estimate for them. Since we're at the end, okay, we're finally there for the most part. There's a little bit of things to clean up, not too big, but we have a certificate of substantial completion. So this is dated after a field check that we went on. The contractor came up with a punch list items, not too many. So that is dated June 21st. So they've got a warranty period that starts at that time for a full year. And you can get together with the contractor before the year's up and do another inspection before that terminates.
Okay.
So they also, with that, when that triggers them to request a release of retainage. So the retainage right now is $141,736.83. So we're okay with that, but with that there's a punch list, and so what we do is we have a withholding, and the engineer has to come up with an estimated value of what that value would be, and then we take 200% of that. That's per Indiana code, and then that is what was withhold until those items are completed. And really, there's only two items. There's a lot of grass areas that we looked at, and we really just took the soddy quantity and just divided by half and took that as a value for what grass areas. There's so many different pocket areas, and I don't think it's going to take too long to address those. Probably by the next meeting, I think.
Yeah, she did.
And then the other thing is as-bills that still need to be provided to us. So our estimate for that is about just under 30,000, 29,975. You double that, that's 59,950. So the net from that retainage to pay the contract would be $81,786.83. So that's what we're recommending that be paid to the contractor at this time. With that said, we also have some good news on the final change order that we want to present. There's a net reduction in the contract of $100,454.23. So with all the extra ads that we had during the project, there's still quite a few items that didn't have to be done, or wasn't the quantities that we didn't need to have put in. There's also sodding that wasn't put in some cases, and grass and mulch seeding was put in place. So not a few things, but the net's in your favor, $100,000, just over $100,000. So that's good news there. And so and that could go, I guess, before we'll just submit that to you for approval.
Yeah.
Not to work and act on this today.
I know the,
Not.
on the agenda and the invoices is the,
You've got the pay estimate there.
pay estimate
Okay.
is included for
Okay.
this time, but the retainage amount request would be next month.
Okay. The on phase 2, just want to give you an update. The appraisers are moving ahead. We've got one appraiser's got 13 out of 18 parcels completed, and the other, we're still waiting for him to get moving. He's a little slower, but he's the one that had more prices in line with what we had. He expects to be done in the next 30 days, so I hope by this time next month we can have our buyer negotiator, Todd Taylor, proceeding ahead with purchasing phase 2. Right now, the estimate cost for that is just under $1.6 million for phase 2 without contingencies. So with contingencies, maybe close to 1.7 we're estimating right now for phase 2. And then next month, we're meeting with the our landscape architect. We want to come in and kind of make a brief presentation on maybe phase 3, where you would like to see that go. I think we need to be kind of talking about that right now, where you want phase 3 to proceed. We're thinking maybe up Everett to Riggin Road and maybe east to the Cardinal Greenway. You may have other preferences. That's up to you. It's your project essentially. So, and then we're getting plans through Ball State and the city. So we've been coordinating with them all along. So we're almost ready. We're looking at maybe hopefully a fall bidding, if we get their right away in quick enough. So that's our plan. Any questions from anybody?
Sheriff Commissioner Riggin has come to us with a couple complaints.
Okay.
Where the trail comes in around by where Ollie's is, I guess there's no access there for a wheelchair to come off that, to actually be able to go up into that parking lot. And she was asking about ADA compliance. Should have there been one put there, or?
Well, we've got access points further, west
Right.
of course and further east. But so far as compliance goes, we didn't really have any direction where to put those. We did,
Right.
however, look at adding that into the project, but the
Mhm.
cost is so prohibitive that
Right.
we need to look at it again. And I think there was some discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, but I think maybe, was the city looking at going in together possibly on that? If we could talk to them
I
or
never
not?
formally had an ask
Okay.
that they would participate
Okay.
financially. I just received an email of them asking what we were going to do.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, we'd easily put that into phase 2. That's,
Yeah.
those kind of things, yeah.
And then there was an area she said is not wide enough for a wheelchair. Is it somewhere along Clear Lane also, or?
Yeah, she mentioned that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
where
It's
she's
all,
talking
let's
Well,
feet
that's,
along there.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out what she's talking about.
If she could, I mean, if we, maybe just give
Yeah, give her a call
find out,
and-
I can
yeah.
do that, yeah. It may be another section, it was an old section maybe that was,
Right,
there already or on the other side of the road. Generally, if it's within our project limits, we would have already taken care of it.
right,
I can't think of anything, we would have had anything that.
but those are the only
Yeah.
complaints that she's
Okay.
brought up and said
Okay.
anything about. There's an area, I guess, where it like sort of
Yeah,
curves or
Telephone
snakes
poles
through.
about that one, couldn't move because of what's all on, AEP said that
Yeah.
it would never be moved. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry about your luck.
The key thing is with ADAs, you have to have at least 4 feet between the utility and clearance, that's the minimum. And so that's why we generally have a 6 feet next to the curb on the
Yeah.
street, it's down 6 feet to count for utilities.
We've heard there was access points where they could come off and
Yeah.
also were like in the Walmart or somewhere where they could get to the other side, but.
Absolutely. What really challenged us there on Claire was, we originally had a large
Right.
landscape strip. And when the last thing the city asked was widen it back out again to get 3 11-foot lanes. And that kind of,
Yeah.
that got rid of our landscape strip. We had a little latitude there. We could have a wider grass strip and everything. We had, but we could still have a situation where you come in, you drop down, flatten out, and that's your curb, that's your, to Ollie's, for example. That's what we were looking at doing. We looked at that, and then, we found a place to go with that. But,
Okay.
just a little cost was a little high at the time. Maybe we could twist the contractor's arm sometime.
If you give her a call, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll do that. Anything else that you heard or anything?
I did provide Commissioner Reagan with a map of all of the sidewalks that this body
Yeah.
approved and paid, because she had expressed to me that some of them were not wide enough. And so I gave her that map, which showed the width
Okay.
of this, that all
Yeah,
of ours
right.
were way in compliance with ADA accessibility as far as width. So I wondered if some ones she was looking at were other existing sidewalks.
Now-
Right.
Yeah.
One thing too, is that a sidewalk or is that like a trail?
Some sidewalk and some's trail.
Okay,
So,
'cause-
yeah.
Trail isn't like the ADA on a trail is different than what it is for a
Still
sidewalk.
the same.
They're
Still
still
more
the
than
same?
2%.
Okay.
Yeah, still have to do the same thing, yeah. Conflicts with utilities the same way
Mhm.
as well.
Okay.
There could be existing sidewalks out there where they're maybe 5 feet,
Mhm.
I don't know that we had any 4 feet out there, but I think they were generally at least 5 feet. But
Okay.
I'll ask her where that is.
Okay.
The other thing that we're gonna be watching is where the VA is putting the facilities in that big detention basin. And Jake, I think you pointed this out, they undermine underneath the sidewalk to install a storm sewer. So we're watching that, and we need to contact them or somebody to find out, that, hey, you undermine that sidewalk and put dirt back in there. That sidewalk could settle, you know, because of that. We're afraid that's not because of what the project did, but that's because of what happened there with the construction, so.
Where is this at?
Right across the
Yeah,
end.
north of the service station there, right just north of
In
the
between
west side.
Davis and American Health Networks, which is B2B.
Yeah. There's a few things that we saw with, you know, Del Tire coming in, not adding sidewalks, you know, there's a few things along the way. And just east of there, there's the health center, just east of Del Tire. We need to get with Plasma. It's all full of weeds, and I don't think they understand, that's the Plasma Center's property. And they're thinking it's Del Tire, I think. It's not, that's the property line, so that's why you see a lot of weeds out there. They need to get on that. We just have a few follow-ups there. And we're working with the landscape architect also in some of the landscape areas in front of McDonald's and by Five Guys Burger Place, where we got water going into more water than we thought coming off of Five Guys going into our landscape area. It's kind of washing some of the bark and landscape material, so we're working on that as well. So,
Thanks, Roger.
thank you.
Commissioner Reagan also mentioned something about a bus stop being added on Clear. I don't know if she's coordinated with the minutes or.
I have no idea.
I'll talk to her and ask if there's, you know, we can put that in phase 2. We can easily do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need a motion to?
Roger, do we need to approve the
Would like to, yes,
the certificate of final completion?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then the retainage amount though? will be
Retainage
next-
amount.
Okay,
That will be next.
We
month.
could have that, well, I'll go ahead and provide that to you with copies here. I've
Okay.
also got the final change order and then the change here.
sounds good. So would they need to approve the final completion and the change order today?
What's your preference? And I know this is just today, we're giving this to you, so,
Yeah.
but I think the,
I can distribute it to all the members electronically
can
for
do it.
review prior to our
Okay.
next
We
meeting,
do
if
it
that's
next
okay.
meeting.
yeah, okay.
Okay,
Okay,
For
we'll do
that.
that, we'll do that.
good.
Just approve the pay estimate is what you need, or?
Today.
Today, yes, and it's under the invoices.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we just do that then.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
The county commissioner reimbursement update. I know you guys are having a meeting
Yes.
with the attorneys and,
September 17th, we're going to have a meeting with the attorneys. Attorney Joe Retz communicated to me that we need to evaluate some of the items to make sure that they are eligible for reimbursement from TIF to edit. And that meeting needs to take place it's going to take place on the 17th. That was as soon as we could get everybody scheduled, coordinated to meet, so we
Okay.
need a little time on that. So that's just
so
an
we
update.
just wait for it on.
Just update, yeah. There was a discussion at the last meeting about this board possibly meeting in cooperation with the commissioners, but the attorneys need to figure out first what's
That's-
even eligible before we start talking about things.
That's fine,
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the hall render engagement letter for the industrial center project.
Yeah, I provided all of you engagement letter from Hall Render. As you know, we've used Sue Beasley to do bond work with this council for quite a while. Sue retired. Her work was transferred to Brenda DeVries at Bingham Greenbaum. Brenda has now transferred to Bose McKinney. We're working with Brenda on a couple other projects, and anyways, in conversations with Brooke Stevens law firm, they said, you know, with all that this commission has undertaken, that they would recommend engaging a second bond counsel. And so Jeremy Allum was recommended. He is a Delaware County native. We don't have a lot of bond counsel in the state of Indiana from Delaware County, but Jeremy's one of our proud ones. So I would like to ask this board to approve Jeremy's engagement letter for Hall Render.
Jeremy actually helped us a lot on the new justice center also, so.
Yeah,
He
very,
helps us every year with our farm week.
very competent guy.
Mhm. Yeah, he is.
I entertain a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? We'll move to Baker Tilly Municipal Consulting Engagement Letter.
Again, this is an engagement letter from our municipal advisory that we use for this body. This was formerly Umball. Umball was purchased by Baker Tilly. Our consultant that we use, Matt Eckerly, which most of you are familiar with, is still our point of contact, but this is the updated engagement letter with the new company name. So I would ask for your approval of this Baker Tilly engagement letter today.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move to Delaware Utility Easement Acquisition.
Morning. This is about the downtown development, there where the old furniture store and then where the Envoy project was. I know, did you send out the Lim and Beatty, Brad?
Yes.
Okay, that's the engagement letter for Carl Hayes to continue, and I'm not very good at maps, so if you guys just bear with me. The corner along the railroad track is back, when you get there, it's 50 feet on one side where the old furniture store and Kelly Getz used to be. The other side is 33 feet to 50 feet at Walnut. Basically, that's the railroad, that's where the interurban used to be, okay? So the property lines are the telephone poles that you see. Well, with development down there, what we've done, that area is never taken care of. Matter of fact, the railroad uses it to store ties and all that on there. So if we're developing the downtown, we're gonna leave this right in the middle of what we're trying to get to. I've talked with the commissioners and with Brad, and what we've got farther down the tracks going back to the east, the commissioners own 2 tracks, 33 feet wide and twice as long as what this section is. What I'd ask this board to do is continue with the Lamb and Beatty agreement to hire Carl Hayes to engage the railroad and see if we can swap out these properties and get these telephone poles moved back up to the railroad track where we can get a proper crossing in there and yet develop both sides of Walnut facing north on 32 there. And that way it'll back. If not, we're just gonna leave a bunch. I mean, the railroad does good, but I mean, all in this go, it's useless and all it does is get trashed up. And it's not the town's responsibility, but the railroad doesn't really take care of it. So it's right in the middle of our downtown. We would like to switch this out so we can back that up. The businesses of either will maintain that and then the downtown development will look like a proper downtown development. So I'd ask your, acceptance here to engage Carl, to continue with him and let him engage to see if we can make this switch.
Let me just brief the commission. Carl Hayes is with Landman Beatty Lawyers. Carl helped this board, actually helped the town of Daleville
Yes.
acquire the former Kelly Getz property in the downtown. He also assisted the county in acquiring the easement beside Ravine to the rail spur. So he has specific experience in doing what Bill needs done, negotiating with the railroad to swap out a piece of property that they have in exchange for a piece of property the county has for basically railroad tie storage. So the storing of the railroad ties won't be done downtown when they do their tie replacements. We've all probably driven through downtown Daleville at some point and seen the railroad ties stacked up along the side of the tracks. What Bill needs that property for too is for American Electric Power to bury their utilities in that area. Right now, we've got telephone poles through those developable sites that would interfere with the development of a new project. So we'd like to get those relocated, and this would give a location to do that. So approving Carl to work on that is what Bill's requesting. That would be paid for from the Daleville TIF district.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Mr. Fluke, gonna give us an update on,
Sure. Back last January, we started the project working with Tyler Technologies to upgrade the 6 towns in Delaware County to bring them on to the New World project. That kind of got a slow start. There's a number of things that involved with it. Part of it had to do with the last item that we're getting ready to put in place, and I'll explain that in a minute. But we got rolling in April and May, and we had training in May and June for the 6 agencies. Have them learn how to put their officers in, how to maintain and do their reports. And then we had another training session in June for the mobile data units, which taught them how to get on the mobile do their reports on the mobile, and then also then be able to download those and do them and put them in a case report through the LEARN system through New World. Everything went really well. I think the 6 towns were really happy to get on to the project and be able to have that connectivity to do the reports and submit them. They have a direct link that they can file reports into the prosecutor's office now and dump their reports in, not have to come downtown anymore. We went live in the middle of July, and that was a 3-day project with Tyler Tech was in town then to assist in any problems we run into, which we expected some, but it wasn't anything major. Everything seemed to go really well. I've had very few problems with the agencies having any issues with the system. Luckily, we have a lot of the agencies that have county policemen that work with them or city policemen, so they're already familiar with the system. So it helped that learning curve, and they to pick them up. So that was a good caveat that we could fall back on. I didn't realize there was that many other officers working for the towns like that. So that's went well. We've we're winding down that part. We've got one other item to bring on, which is not part of the project that you guys funded, and that will be completed with training this next week. And then that part will go on live, and that's their new, what they call incident-based reporting, which we had to get some of the pieces put in place with the project that we were doing, so the county then and the towns could start doing their incident-based reporting to the feds for their reporting of their crimes. There's a whole change that the feds required us to change, so that's all been put in place. The training's next week. That go live is probably sometime in December or in January. But like I said, that part of the project is not part of this project that we did, and that was funded through the sheriff's office, through a grant that they got. So when that's done, we should be completed with the project up to the point for the maintenance for 2 years that we're going to pay out of this project funds, and so that should be everything that we need. And I do have, Brad, I have a spreadsheet made up for you for all the expenditures, so you can see the total expenditures paid out to each vendor, each claim invoice for both the Tyler and for any of the hardware that we purchased.
I know my guys really enjoy it. I do too, 'cause I don't have to spend that much time up at the county building now. Things just.
You don't like it?
Sometimes when I go up there to the prosecutor's office, I try to sneak in, and I'm there longer than I really want to be.
I told him one day.
But I know some of the other agencies, they really like it too. I was at the 911 board meeting, and you might want to check with Yorktown. Paul Singleton said something about Yorktown maybe they might be getting off this system. They don't want to, they don't even want to have the NCIC and IDACs in their cars. They would rather for dispatch to run that stuff for them.
Well, they're still going to stay with the New World, but not the NCIC.
And that's something he didn't know, because if they're not going to stay with the New World, there's no sense of them having the computers and all that
Right.
stuff in their
That
cars.
was the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, Paul brought that up in the 911 meeting, so you might want to
Okay.
get with them and find out, because if they're not going to stay on that system, I
Participate,
mean,
yeah, then that,
we could take the computers, they could be put somewhere if one of the other department's computer goes down or whatever.
Okay.
We would have that. To be honest, I don't know why they would go off of it, because I mean, it's a great tool, it really is.
Jim's been great to work with through this process. He's got new invoices timely. I know he's been all over the departments, making sure they get trained properly, so thanks, Jim.
okay.
Your work problem.
All right, thanks, Jim. Next, we have invoices.
I'd like to request to pull the Tyler Technologies for further review from Mr. Fluke until, put that on for the next meeting.
Okay. Get a motion to pay all invoices, except for the Tyler Technologies.
So moved.
Second. Have motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll go down, public comments, any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjournment.